Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. Hope you are. Welcome to Tuesday's video. A lot less hectic than Monday because we had the beta and as well a lot of news stories to cover. But what we're going to do in this video is go against the correct abilities for Aarkus as well as Voyant. And obviously I did a comic book history / abilities type video, so it's going to be cool to just see how Kabam have translated that information into their abilities, and hopefully I can wrap this up in more bullet points than I did in the previous video. So let's get into this. It looks like Voyant has some kind of Corvus vibe to her. She's got death immunity buff and also allowing her to prevent her from dying and as well healing, which I absolutely love. This is one thing I've been looking out for, is a Scarlet Witch alternative that is at least a 5-star that is similar to magic and has like some other new vibes to it, and I think I found that. She also gets a slight Diablo vibe, which we hope this time will actually be decent at damage outputting. And now we've got bleed immunity, we've got poison immunity, and we've got incinerate immunity. Incredibly handy when going up against certain champions, and would have been handy this month against incinerate from Sunspot. But the value of this hopefully will be huge amounts of debuff effects on the enemy, and at the same time creating that immunity for this champion, creating some sort of utility, but also incredible debuff and damage output. And the various curses go a little bit further. The one that I absolutely love is the Curse of Plague, especially with that poison debuff, the extent of damage you can put on, and as well at the same time like health, recovery, suppression. That is going to be amazing as well. Also going a bit further, it looks like you can put more debuff effects on. Hasn't really had like a big clarification of this. It could go hand in hand with the different curses that are currently put on, and maybe it stacks it more, improves it more, those kind of things. There's a few things that we're still unsure about, and that is the Clairvoyance timer, and also you've got the Clairvoyance charge. But how this seems to work is that you are able to nullify buffs with a certain attack method, which is kind of cool. It's good to see another mystic character that's able to nullify certain things, and definite a valuable champion to use in future content. Further clarification of the Clairvoyance charges can be found with the SP3, which looks like it's very much focused on converting into like attack rating. Similar with a lot of champions nowadays get this thing where if you hit off an L3, you get stuff improved with attack rating. Namor recently, I remember, has had something similar. So it's kind of cool to see that, especially because of the way it works with things we just discussed. There's also stuff with SP2 on buff immunity, also curses and kind of having additional effects. So that's important and also really cool. We could see a Diablo, but actually how it would have been liked for us to see it, but a lot more powerful in the shape and form of Clairvoyant. There's also a huge amount of positive effects that come with any kind of synergy build, and it'll be interesting to see how people chop and change between adding in certain characters, from Doctor Strange right the way through to I think Black Widow gets mentioned. So the namesake, the old Black Widow and the new Black Widow come to pass, with Black Widow activating a special attack, and it grants a Fury buff, increasing attack rating by 20% for 6 seconds. So look, old, new, they all get a little bit of love. And now on to Aarkus. Now I didn't know where they would go down the route with this, and there was something that I didn't really include in my last video, which was important to mention, and that was the cryokinesis, the kind of freezing, based on the fact that he is from Smoke World, and well, he's just kind of like air, CO2y kind of chilled stuff. The fact is they've gone down the route of a very kind of chilly champion, if you get my meaning. I love the fact that just right off the bat, if you've got a champion that has an intense amount of armor, then it's kind of cool because you'll be able to kind of go really close to them and put an armor break onto them. So it really helps out. Imagine you're really up close and personal with a champion like Iron Man Infinity War, then you're just applying loads of armor breaks on. Same thing with Heimdall. That is so cool to have that new effect in. So yeah, original, I love it. Okay, with Power of the Smoke World, it does look like he gets this Hyperion nod to him, and the extent of power gaining is well, we don't know just yet, and I'd love to see this in action. I say that, we've probably got Kabam putting some like dangerous nodes in, but I like the idea of something being similar to Hyperion. That intense amount of power gaining very quickly could be a thing, may not be. Would love to see it. Here's where the freezing comes in, and we've got frozen air. We've also got the fact if you have an armor break on, the conversion from in special attacks to be another cold snap debuff could be really nice, and I'd like to see some more debuff damage similar to Clairvoyant, but it may be a case that with this champion that we do get some nice amount of debuffs, but at the same time damage output is quite good, and as well power gaining, so kind of Hyperion meets Iceman, so to speak. The special attacks do pretty much what we've just said a moment ago. They have their own kind of subtle changes. Similar to the SP3 on Voyant, we've got that thing about gaining attack or fury buffs when it comes to like putting the SP3 in, attack rating, fury buff, whatever you want to call it. The fact is, it does exactly what it says in the tin. And yes, it may be good for damage output, but I think a lot of players may kind of opt for the debuff damage dealing as opposed to, well, just building up to an L3 constantly. It's a bit of a slog to get up to an L3 unless you've got champions like Namor that you want to particularly do that for a good reason, where this may not be a good reason to do so. Also, there's some synergies that really interest me, and that is the Vision Age of Ultron one, where if you do a power burn, the effects grant a fury buff. So I don't know the extent of seconds, like if it's a long time, I'm talking about like 10 seconds, that would be cool. If it's something like 5 to 6 seconds, that's a bit piddly and pathetic. But the more you burn, the more kind of potency it looks like you get with that fury attack, so that's pretty good. Also, looking out for Iceman and increasing the duration of frostbite passives by 4 seconds. So well, I'm talking like that, it's going to be pretty nice. Imagine a team together with Aarkus. I think he's going to be a good champion, but I don't know, Clairvoyant kind of tickles my fancy a little bit to go for that. Maybe I'll go for the featured crystals when hopefully they come to release. Maybe that's a New York Comic Con video. Maybe I should save up for a bit of that. Would people like to see that? Put it in the comment section down below. Either way, I'm pretty excited for these two champions being put in. I don't know why, there's something about them both, the kind of the builds, the aspects to them, the fact that they're not to do with like movies or current things going on, and the fact that they really touch on things with the past of Marvel. I'm really digging these two champions. So yeah, props, they look good. Hopefully they work quite well and people like them as well. What are your thoughts? What champion are you going to go for? Would you like to see me do a New York Comic Con featured crystal opening? Maybe with a certain YouTuber? You know, put it in the comment section. I'll read them a bit later on. Thanks so much for watching this. Catch some other content here. And do look out for my VR video later on. I can't decide what I'm going to make. And some other, some things to subscribe to there. Bye-bye for now.